When I am not what they want anymore, whether you're dating or married, you can hit that place where you don't feel that you are what they want. If you have yet to subscribe, please hit that. We have so much information on this. Also, if you got a question, put it in the box. There comes a time in a relationship, things are rocking along fine, but all of a sudden you realize you are not what they want. And sometimes they'll tell you. Usually starts off with a little sarcasm, maybe about some characteristic, your body, your work ethic, if you're a man, or whatever. They'll start chipping away at what you're not, instead of celebrating what you actually are. And you feel this shift, and you feel it more like in your heart or in your spirit. You feel like, what's going on? Like I was more than enough, when we were dating or months ago, but now I can't, no matter what I do, even though you're asking for more from me, I can't make you happy. And it feels like you're on this treadmill now of not being enough or not being wanted. And it feels awful, yet you're still confused because they still want to have sex with you, but you can feel empty and start to feel more alone in the relationship, and that you're not really seen, not really heard, and this could be whether you're a man or a woman, not really appreciated, and you find them putting you down, maybe in public, sarcasm with their family or friends. You overhear a conversation about how not wonderful you are, how you're not doing it for them, and you can feel it. It's something inside. A lot of women have told me they can just feel it inside, that I'm not enough. And I want to answer the question as to why you feel that way, why this is possible. I wrote a great book called Addicted to Adultery, and it goes through some reasons why, in this case, men will push away from their spouse. So let me go through a few of these because these might be questions that you need to ask. Number one is fantasy. They have created in their mind, some kind of magical woman. I call her boo-boo mommy. She's always there, unconditionally accepting. They don't have to try. It's all about them. It's self-serving. And the boo-boo mommy is to be happy at all times. She is not allowed to have real pain. She is not allowed to have real needs. And she is to be there 24/7, even if it's in the middle of the night, to provide for him whatever it is he needs to be provided for. Now, this is delusional, but this is real. And if your man, or woman for that matter, has this fantasy person, a man who's rich, handsome, and ripped abs, and, does dishes and laundry and lets her stay in bed and, makes her cookies and donuts for lunch, whatever the fantasy is, when you are working against the fantasy, you're in an uphill battle because fantasies can expand and change at will, and you can't. You're not going to grow another inch. Your body's not going to go through radical transformation. You're not all of a sudden going to become rich and have ripped abs if you're a guy. You may not be as romantic as the other people she compares you to. And so if you are competing against a fantasy, you need to ask about it. What is your ideal man? What is your ideal woman? What is the ideal that I'm working against? Can we have a conversation about this? Now that is one of the easier ones. The second is pornography. And people lie about pornography. Men and women lie as to whether they're looking at pornography. How do I know? For the last 40 years, that's what I've been doing. I'm the president of the American Association for Sex Addiction Therapy, the executive director of Heart to Heart Counseling Center, where people fly and come do 5-day intensives for sexual addiction, whether it's infidelity, pornography, or intimacy anorexia, which we'll get to in a little bit. And I have spent 40 years working with men who have dealt with pornography and women. I've probably done over 5,000 porn and masturbation histories. Very few authors can claim that. This is my day in, day out for decades of my life. Here's what happens. And this isn't about morality. This is about neural development and neural attachment. So when you look at pornography and you masturbate to it, male or female, you get these endogenous opiates, hits the prefrontal cortex of your brain, and boom, you literally glue to, attach to, and crave and want to repeat that again. Kind of like Spider-Man, boom. And now You and it are connected. Now, listen to me. For 40 years, I've done masturbation histories with pornography. The men and women who get into pornography tend to masturbate mostly with pornography or fantasy about the pornography once they start. So they usually start adolescents, maybe say 13, 14, or younger now. And they get married, say, at 24. That means there's 10 years of neurological conditioning towards something that you're not. And pornography morphs, changes genders, colors, race, creatures, machines, whatever, fantasies, and it keeps evolving. And in a nanosecond, you can change the channel, and you can get them to say something different to you. Okay, and you can find your genre, and you can get worse and worse and worse. So pornography, you are up against a real battle there. So ask your husband or wife, when was the last time you looked at pornography? Don't ask them if they looked at pornography. When was the last time you saw pornography? Because if you have a cell phone, you've probably seen pornography on one of the social medias or a website or even an email. When was the last time? And then continue down that conversation. Well, how often have you looked at pornography in the last year, 5 years, 10 years? When did it start? How did it start? Because you are in competition with something that's not real. And it's getting the highest chemical reward. So even if they're having sex with you, but they're in the fantasy state, you're literally letting your body be used to glue them to something that's not you. So let's suppose you're blonde and they are going to a fantasy about a brunette. Your body just got used to reinforce the brunette, not you. Okay, and we have a lot of stuff on YouTube here about having great sex, being connected, all that. Definitely subscribe to the channel because there's over 1,000 videos to help you. So have the conversation about pornography. If it's something that you're going to have in your relationship, understand that you will be competing with that neurologically. It's not a moral issue. It's a reinforcement schedule. Ring the bell, feed the dog, ring the bell, feed the dog, ring the bell, feed the dog. And that might be why you're feeling like you don't do it for him anymore. Because you can't morph and change in nanoseconds. There's a lot of things you can't do that a click of a button they can do. And with the AI pornography, they can write a whole script and have it acted out. So the person on the other end is brainless. And so you're being compared to this brainless object that does whatever they wish. Okay? Thirdly, intrigue. Intrigue is a little slippery. It's not quite like lusting after people. It's more like getting that little energy hit. You know, you're at a restaurant and their eyes go like this and you see them engaging. This is men and women. And they start intriguing about, oh, I wonder what that would be like if we were friends or if we were lovers, or they seem really interesting. And they actually cook this stuff in their brain. Sometimes it's sexual, sometimes it's romantic, but it's always something different than you are. Never do they compare themselves like, wow, they are so much like my wife. I bet you I would have the same problems with her as I have with my wife. I bet you she also gets tired after being with kids for 6 hours a day. I'll bet you. Never happens. Okay? You're always compared in a one-down position. So intrigue is like a small type of fantasy, but you'll see it kind of happen in real time. And it'll pull at you. You'll feel the energy leave, like you're checking somebody else out. And I have a whole DVD called Intrigue Addiction. If that's going on, watch that together and then have a conversation or a plan. And everything I'm talking about, there's help. You can call Heart to Heart Counseling Center, 719-278-3708, and get help. Okay? The last one is to create distance. Now that sounds insane to you, I'm sure. Why would someone marry me and then want to be distant from me? Well, if they have something called intimacy anorexia, and you can go to intimacyanorexia.com, do some research. It is the active withholding of emotional, spiritual, and sexual intimacy. They might be having sex with you, but it feels like they're disconnected and alone. They might be in a fantasy state or just not there, okay? They're too busy for you. They blame you. They withhold love from you. They withhold praise. You feel married and alone. And we have lots of books on that. There's partner betrayal trauma that deals with the impact of that. There's lots of resources here for the intimacy anorexic. If they want to get better, whether they're religious or non-religious, they can get help. So, but this strategy is, I am going to avoid you and put you in pain so that you will not pursue me, because I don't want you to pursue me because I don't want to be intimate. I don't want to be known, okay? And so you begin to feel like you are being pushed away. You are being sabotaged when you want closeness, whether it's emotional, spiritual, or sexual. You're being picked upon. You feel like there's always this negative narrative about you. That is intimacy anorexia. It needs professional help, someone who is certified in intimacy anorexia. Okay, make sure that they're certified. You can call my office and find out. And 719-278-3708. Because if they're not, you are going to be blamed and misunderstood and confused and scapegoated and gaslit, all that stuff. And you don't want to pay for counseling. With an intimacy anorexia, can go to a general counselor because it's not a general problem. It's a very specific problem. Well, our time together is running out. But these are 4 reasons why you might feel like you don't do it for them anymore. It's not about you. Not one of them is about you. If you haven't subscribed, do that. If you got a question, put it in the box. And as always, take the next right step for yourself.